first, I will start with not my question because it involves Gunnar explaining it. So Gunnar was saying that science is not updated, or science is updated, and which implied that religion is not updated, which I think is a bit of a extreme statement, because yes, while you have certain divisions of religion who are still going to take the most ancient interpretation of whatever text they're pulling from, I think it's unfair to say they're not updated, because you can, if you look at a Catholic group from years ago versus now, I think there are many things that are different. For example, Pope Francis now condemning all the pedophiles for the last whatever years. Them, not saying, them realizing there's 6 other religions on the world and not doing a modern crusade. The Vatican funding World War III. There are definite updates happening to religion.
But my retort would be: are these updates because of religion or in spite of religion? Because I think that these are updates that are happening because society is updating, and that's because we have a system like science which allows open and free thought to question authority. I think that without science, if you were to go back 1,000 years and stop science from ever happening, kill baby scientists, first scientists, so that science never happens, and then rewind the clock back to present day, I think you'd see that without science, you would have 2019 would be medieval Europe. We would be still in a really oppressive type of authoritarian, what God says goes. I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think that it was because of religion that we aren't crucifying homosexuals anymore. I think it's because science has expanded our idea of this is what it is to be a human. We all experience the same type of journey, and we all have feeling, to experience pain and fear and all of these things. So yeah, we have a better explanation because of science, not because of religion, and that's what's enabled us to get past certain awful things like the Crusades, because science has kind of pushed us past that. I think
it was a bit more than science. It's also just the view that we can think our way to the truth.
Exactly. I might be.
We don't have to rely on a religious authority.
Exactly. I might be kind of misusing the word science, or kind of misappropriating science as like the Enlightenment kind of thinking and ideology, but it's kind of the method, the scientific method of building hypothesis, and then testing that, seeing where you fail, redesigning the it has it built in it, so that it's this system where it literally it's not that it is updated, it self-updates, it corrects itself, whereas religion doesn't do that. Religion obfuscates to whoever is the authority at the time, whoever's Pope Pius III or Pope Francis VI. Who gives a fuck? It doesn't matter. Whereas science is a lot more of a communal self-updating process, I think, and that's the big thing, is it corrects itself, whereas religion would never do that.
I want to say that the only difference between religion and science is that science's structure lends itself to do it quicker. Because I think that, barring any traditional science, which I was going to challenge you using until you decided that you were misusing the word science, if you're using science to kind of in a very broad sense, okay, but if you're using science in terms of being able to still develop technology, which you can argue is science. But if you, for example, you went from a 1600s or 1800s era where we're using swords, or whatever weaponry we had, to a modern era where we had guns and tanks and rockets and missiles and nukes. I think that religion doesn't change to speak because science tells it to. I think that's giving too much credit to science. It's religion
changes because society does.
It's religion changes because of society, and society changes because I'm going to propose not for science, but because power structures change. Because like if you think of it back, like the Catholic Church was the most wealthy, powerful entity for a long time, and it also just happened to entwine itself in. I'm kind of making stuff up here, but like let's say it entwined itself in Roman Empire, the Empire. I'm not entirely sure how like Romans and Catholics went together, but let's just say that you had this group who was relatively powerful and respected in most historic governments. And then as the power structure kind of shifted to a place where you lessened religious power and it became more, governments dissociated with the religion. Now that governments are to a very basic and extent are influenced by large groups of people, meaning like states, you have Republicans and Democrats. And whether you're Republican or Democrat heavily influences your government and everything. And you're constantly having this fight back and forth. And with the Democrats believing that, you shouldn't condemn gays. You shouldn't have sex with children.
I think the Republicans believe that too, right?
I'm not going to speak for Republicans. I have not read that I have not seen our the Republican figurehead Alex Jones condemn children having being exploited.
A Canadian's interpretation of American politics.
But in all seriousness, it's like the most people in the States who are Catholics have now been given this kind of notion that, yeah, we probably shouldn't have sex with children. Yeah, we probably shouldn't, at least on the Democratic side, randomly hate black people or randomly hate gay people. And so you have all this pressure in the United States that carries to Europe, that carries to Canada, that carries to Australia, to have this overwhelming majority of people who are influencing governments personally there about, yeah, these ideas shouldn't happen anymore. And then, okay, you put pressure on the Pope to be like, yeah, I guess I should be kind of cool and just say you shouldn't have sex with children.
Where did these injunctions or the social changes come from?
I think
so like if we go back to like 1500s or whatever, Catholic Church, or 1400s, Catholic Church is just bombing, it's killing it. And then they lose power and lose authority. Why? Like, is that just some random effect, or like?
I think it's less to do with, because I would say science has some capacity to do it, but I think for the most part, it's essentially technology. Technology shifted the power from people in many ways. You have now easier access. I'm not going to lie, you have easier access to weapons. So there, and those weapons essentially allow you to an extent fight back. It's not kind of like, and on top of that, you have better communication. So, for example,
but how did this technology emerge? Like, surely it was science.
That's the caveat here. That's why I don't particularly like putting technology and science together, even though technically I think they are, because and here's the thing, I could also make the counterpoint of what's STEM. STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So that means that science and technology while lumped together, are technically different things if you take the STEM abbreviation.
But don't you need the science in order to make the technology? Like you can't make electronics without understanding electromagnetism.